Hello, it's Friday and this is me wishing you a happy weekend ahead. Well, welcome to the newspaper review here on TAV TV. My name is Ubed Jerry, your host for today, and yes, this is where we get to discuss with members of the streets. We get to see their reactions as regards headlines making rounds on the papers. You out there can also be a part of this show. Please subscribe to our channel if you are yet to subscribe. Turn on your notification button. Connect with us across all our social media platforms so that when we drop videos like this, you get to receive our notifications. Well, before we discuss with members of the streets, let's first look into the newspapers and see what the stories look like. Today being Friday, 26th April 2024, let's look first into the Nation's newspaper. We can see here it says, "Why I Came Hard on Dana Air" by Keyamo. Sub-story that reads, AR Forts Minister. This is found on page 7. Federal government to restructure school feeding. Details of this story is found on page 3. Okwama, Reps Defense Panel promises justice. Details is found on page 6. Ex-Senate spokesman Ayogu Eze dies at 65. May his soul rest well. Details is found on page 6. Hypeman gives Soludo deadline on welfare. Details of this story is found on page 26 also. The main story here says, Tinubu, I take tough policy decisions in people's interest. Sub-story that reads, the worst of the storm over. Dutch businessmen to invest $250 million in Nigeria. Details is found on page 4. 2023 election reflected will of Nigerians, says US in reports. A very interesting one. Is it that the will of the people is to suffer, or the will of the people is to go through what we are going through? Or the will of the people is for Tinubu, Bola Tinubu to be our president? Well, the story says a lot. Alright, still on the newspapers, you can see here it says, federal government gives 2 days ultimatum to Abuja Lokoja Benin road contractors. Details of this story is found on page 5. Ebonyi fixes council polls for July 20. Details is found on page 26. Fubara to CNS, be ruthless against oil thieves. Details is found on page 5, and that's all be taken on the Nation's newspaper. And moving on, we'll be looking at the Daily Sun. We could see it says, Lagos Calabar Coastal Road, demolition of structures begins tomorrow. Details is found on page 27. The main story here reads, more hardship as telecom companies plan rate hike. Sub-story under that reads, data, voice, services to be affected. Details is found on page 25. IPOB denies attacking northerners in southeast. Details is found on page 5. Boko Haram insurgents sack military camp in Niger community. Sub-story under that reads, army constructs over 40 roads, neutralizes 58 explosives. Details is found on page 5. 119 inmates escape as rainstorm destroy prison in Niger. 10 recaptured. Details is found on page 10. UK supports Nigeria's fight against malaria with £1 billion. Details is found on page 6. Abia North, Kalu deserves our support. Commendation, ex-Abia Deputy Speaker. Sub-story under that reads, hail Senator for execution of project. Propose full leadership. Details is found on page 28. Reshuffle cabinet to balance equation for Southeast ministerial appointment. Ex-police boss tells Tinubu. Details is found on page 27. Airlines spend 46.8 million naira on expatriate quota in 2 years. Details is found on page 24, and that's all be taken on the Daily Sun newspaper. And lastly for today, we'll be looking at the Punch newspaper. You can see here it says, dollar demand pushes naira to 1,400 naira per dollar. Details is found on page 29. NNPC blames logistics for worsening fuel queues. Details is found on page 30. Senate panel seeks extension of 3,000. Senate panel seeks extension of 3 trillion naira loan probe. Details is found on page 30. 4 million UTM candidates not admitted in 4 years, says investigation. Details is found on page 16. The main story here says Forex, MTN, Glo, others seek NCC node for tariff hike. Sub-story under that reads, operators await NCC approval as regulators review tariff bands, operation costs. Details is found on page 29. Federal government may relocate jails as 105 inmates flee Niger prison. Details is found on page 2. Delta bloodbath, villagers shun reps hearing over fear of arrest. Details is found on page 36. Cultists arrested for invading Anambra Hotel with charms. Details is found on page 4. Wike's loyalist Lucky Fubara is tolerant, says Commissioner. Details is found on page 16, and that's all be taken on the dailies for today. Now let's get to see the reactions of people on the streets. Let's get to hear what they have to say as regard these headlines on the paper. Stay tuned. All right, good morning, sir.
Good morning, my dear.
Welcome, sir. I would like your thoughts on the daily sun that says more hardship as telecom companies plan rates hike. So let's say if we were spending 10 minutes to make calls, you'll be charging, if you were charged 100 now, maybe you will be charged around 120 to 150 now. That's why there will be a hike in tariff price, and even in data plan. What do you have to say about that? This is follow-up of hardship in the country in general.
Okay. You know, when we talk about hardship, Nigeria
it's something
today,
that affects the whole country.
yes, the hardship, we have enough assets to resolve hardship, more especially in Nigeria. The problem we have now is our leaders. Our leaders are the cause of the hardship we are facing today. If you go to judiciary, they have failed us. They are number one. Second, politicians. Third, you talk about police. Because these three bodies are the problem we are facing in this society. If our judiciaries will stand on their ground and do what is right, some politicians will not be jumping up and down, killing people unnecessarily, creating more havoc in a society. Thank you. This is what I have.
But what about some, you know, there are some Nigerians that purposely hike price of goods. You could see why some price of goods is costly in the market.
Fine.
Some persons purposely
Fine. You know, when we talk about some Nigerians raising of the price of petroleum, now I'll go direct to the Mr. President, because Mr. President is the head of the country. He has some bodies that work with him. There are some organizations he's supposed to arrange to checkmate those people that specialize on fuel activities
and fixed prices.
And fixed prices. At least he should come up with the fixed prices, so that everybody will know that this particular price is the price that we all know that is going on in our society. But they are not doing it. And even when you go to that fuel cancel of a thing, it's the same politicians. When he come for bunkering, it's the same politician. Are you getting me? I keep on blaming president and the judiciaries. They are the main problem we are having here in Nigeria today. If judiciaries will do what is right, because that is the hope of a common man. Are you getting me? But now they have failed Nigeria. They are only there for their selfish interests. They don't even think the way forward or how to liberate this society or to move it to the greater height. This is exactly the challenge we are facing. So if our judiciary will stand on their ground and do what is right, and if Mr. President will also bring out a body, we go into fuel scarcity to checkmate those who are into fuel production and see how they are doing it. At least others will learn, and they will also come up with the example, I mean a standard, that if you are a minister of petroleum, these are the rules and regulations that you follow up. Not you are a minister of petroleum, they say you is doing bunkering, they say you just coming up with any price of your choice and oppose on the masses. And if you watch very well, our society today, the poor masses are the ones feeding our politicians, because they stock the money from the poor. Now if you go to any market today, you will see that the poor are the ones suffering it. When you enter any bus going to anywhere, they will come out with their own price and tell you. They will not say that this is a particular price. So these are problems we are facing. So if our judiciary will stand on their ground and do what is right, I believe Nigeria will go forward.
But seeing how the country is at the moment, do you think there is hope for Nigeria?
There is a great hope. There is a great hope, because I strongly believe Almighty God, with His infinite mercy, we bring out a good leader that fears God, that will lead us to promised land. Not all these gold diggers, not all these looters that's killing Nigeria gradually because they feel they have survived, they feel they have succeeded with their family. The others should go and die. That is just all I have to say.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
All right, it's good day.
Yeah, it's good day, sir.
It's good to have you here.
Thank you.
I would like your thoughts on the nations that says, Tinubu, I take tough policy decisions in people's interest. He's saying that his administration's reforms, the removal of subsidy, the orders, the policies he has been putting on in his administration is for the people's interest, and it has made outsiders, investors, come into the country to come and invest. What do you have to say about that? remember that amidst all these things, as he's saying, we are going through hardship. So what do you have to say?
So at this point, I would say we should not forget that we are humans first. We are humans. Whatever we do, we seek our interests first. In as much as, like, these ones are, and I'm not talking about those at the top. Before we get to the leadership, let's x-ray ourselves as humans naturally. You first fend for yourself. You first fight for yourself and your family first, before you get to think of another person. Now that is how humans have programmed their minds to, because I will not say that's how God has programmed our minds to be. That's how human beings have programmed our
self-centered first.
Yes, we are selfish. Every single human is selfish. We are self-centered, just like what you said. And now our president is telling us that he has taken tough decisions, tough policies and decisions that has to do with the people's interests. He's not completely wrong, because he's not also completely right at some point, because,
like, let's say in the middle.
Yes, we're not trying to give him all 100%. That he has been seeking people's interests. In as much as we know that politicians generally have never worked to the interest of Nigerians. Generally, in as much as we know that Bola Tinubu is our president, but he doesn't have direct contacts to the people. He has channels, he has pipelines. That's why we have the sub offices that links back to the people. So in as much as he's coming out this board to say, it means he has done something. In quotes, he felt he has actually impacted the people. But as a Nigerian, because democracy is for the people. Now this is I am not trying to speak on behalf of Nigerians, but I feel our president should go back and check his channels, because these decisions
let's just accept that his plans and his patterns are good. It's just the channels through which they are executing it.
They are good. They are good. Now he should go back and checkmate these channels, because just like in the game of chess, it's not every time you go forward. There are times you need to retrace back and watch. Deliberately go back and watch. So I feel it should go back and watch. Now that is the first angle. Now generally, as Nigerians will say, we are not feeling this government. We are not feeling now taking it back, like taking the hits back to the government. We are not feeling it. We are not feeling the impact
compared to what we expected.
Obviously, because of late, I saw on the news headline that the election, this is still part of people's interest, that the election was based on Nigerians' interests, but that's not completely true. I know, in as much as there may be evidence that most Nigerians sold their rights and the likes of it, but we should go back to the drawing board, because this government, we have actually gone through a lot. In as much as he's telling us that, okay, they are working, they are taking tough policies, but Nigerians, just like I said earlier, we are not feeling the impact. So let our government go back to their drawing board and give us positive results in regards to, they should not just end on paper. It should not just be what we are boasting on paper, but the impact is not there. That's just a clear difference. So it is far beyond you telling Nigerians. This is what he's doing now. He is actually, should I say, he's making a noun to become a verb. I don't know if you like to
we've not seen the action.
We are not seeing the action, but you're actually analyzing it. So we are yet to see the actions in this present government.
All right, thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
All right, you heard everything that has been discussed here. You could see what the people on the streets have to say as regards these headlines making rounds on the papers. Do well to subscribe to our channel if you are yet to subscribe. Turn on your notification button. Connect with us across all our social media platforms. And if you have anything to add to what has been discussed here, please slide to our comment section and drop your comments. Of course, we would like to hear from you. We'd like to see your thoughts and reactions as regards what we discuss here. My name is Obed Jerry, your host for today, and this has been the newspaper review here on TAF TV. I'll see you next time. Have a lovely weekend ahead.